So, good morning, everyone, again. So I think we will start. People are slowly signing in again, but for sake of time, we'll start. So my name is Arthur Guichet, Secretary General from the European Water Association, and I will be your moderator for today's event. A few words about the European Water Association before we start. So we are an independent, non-governmental and non-profit organization dealing with the management and improvement of the water environment as a whole. And we have members from nearly all European countries. We have national members, corporate members, and research members. And we see ourselves as a platform to provide discussions on key technical and policies issued in Europe. And therefore, we are here today to discuss the water resilience strategy with Pernille Weiss-Heller, who is a member of Cabinet of Commissioner Oswald, Environment, Water Resilience and Competitive Circular Economy Commissioner. And Pernille, you are the water resilience expert of the Cabinet. Therefore, you are here with us today. Thank you again. You are a former member of the European Parliament from 2019 to 2024, where you were a full member of ITRE and ENVI committee on the topic of water, energy, textile, circular economy and pharma, and you are also the former chair of the MEP Water Group. You hold several academic degrees and have worked as both as public and private manager, as entrepreneurs, after starting your career as a nurse. And you are now back in Brussels and at the Commission, but you also have extended experience and consultancy companies focused on public building and the impact on service, productivity, efficiency, and quality experience. And you will be our first speakers for today with a short presentation about the water resilience strategy. Then we have Tania Pencheva, who is heading the EU Government and Industry Relations at Xylem, sponsor member from EWA, and sponsor of today's webinar. So thank you very much. So it's allowed us to keep it free of charge for the participants. And prior to joining Xylem in 2021, Tania, you have been providing strategic EU government relation advice to company and trade association at leading consultancy firm in Brussels. And you had beginning your career working for major political group at the European Parliament and for environmental NGOs. I'm not going to list all the languages that you speak because I will feel ashamed that I only speak 3 after it. But again, thank you for being here. And last but not least, we have Jan van der Steen, also EWA member. So thank you very much for being with us today. And you are one of the EU affairs representative at Bureau Brussels of the drinking water company Vevin and the Dutch water authorities. Bureau Brussels is the voice of the Dutch water sector in Brussels. You follow development of EU policy and advocate the position of the Dutch water sectors at EU institutions. As a country with a long-standing history in water management, that is a delta of 4 international rivers, the EU and its legal framework is very relevant for Dutch water management. Jan, you have an engineering background in water management from Technical University of Delft in the Netherlands, and you have worked as a consultant at Ramboll before your current position. Again, thank you very much for being here. And just few house rules before we start and dive in with Pernille's presentation. So please use the Q&A box to ask all your questions to the speakers. And we cannot respond to raise your hands, and as all of you participants are muted. Therefore, chat box if you have some comments, and Q&A box for all the questions directly to the speakers. It's best if you can already mention to whom the question is addressed. And today we will have, as I said, Pernille first presentation, then a short roundtable, and we have around 15 minutes of our hours just done for Q&A. So please do not hesitate to use it in a chat. And a recording will be available on YouTube after it. And now I will stop sharing my presentation and I will move to use Pernille. And we will just already go and start for today. So full screen mode, share the other one. Let me know, Pernille, when you can see everything.
Yep, I will. Yes, I can see the first page.
Perfect. So I will mute myself.
Okay, and then you hear when I say shift. Super. Thank you so much. Thank you for this warm welcome and very, very timely webinar. Actually more timely than the one that we had to cancel for several reasons. I was sorry that I couldn't be there, but if we had the event at that time, I wouldn't be able to say as much as I can today, because we were so close at the time where you put the paper on the iron board and put the iron to make the ink stable and waterproof. So now we have a water resilience strategy announced last week, presented on several social media platforms and a press conference here in the House of the European Commission, and a lot of links also available on different platforms. So for right now, this morning, I'm very grateful to be together with all of you, and I look forward for your questions. But also, if we don't have time enough, and there will be something more in detail coming after this event, please don't hesitate to call me or to write me here in the Commission. It would be a pleasure to continue the good cooperation and also the communication and explorative, creative conversations that I have had with many of you throughout the last couple of years. And Europe really needs that. We need to cooperate together to be able to de-stress Europe in the current water crisis, but also in the future going forward, because water will somehow forever, as far as the eye can see, be an finite resource. So we need to be better in how to help each other to take good care of water, and to know where the quantity is and how to put it and send it to where it has to be in a short moment before it then continues in the single water ecosystem. So with that, as a starting chit chat from my side, let's take the PowerPoints one by one, and I will hopefully make a quick tutorial about what it is about. So this one here, first one, the why, is known to all of you, I'm sure. And I won't go through all of the dots, but I would like to just highlight 3 of them that actually made the trick to also engage other colleagues, other politicians, other groups of stakeholders that we need to have on board on the water resilience rollout and how to de-stress Europe when it comes to water. And that is, when we tell people who are not so much familiar with the water society and the water issues, when we tell them that we actually only reuse less than 1% of fresh water in Europe, that is something that strikes people's minds. And because of happily the conversations we have on circularity and modest use of resources, that is really something that calls attention, and that is why it's also a part of the narrative of the water resilience strategy, that we simply reuse too little of water. We can do much, much better. The second of these dots that are have raised a lot of interest is the second one, telling that around 30% of water is lost in average. 30% is lost because of leaky pipes. That's something that creates pictures in people's minds of, yes, we do have water infrastructure, we do have pipes, but from source to user, the average of 30% of water is lost. So that's a concrete challenge that is solvable, and that is something that we will use also in the way we communicate the different initiatives and actions that are in the water resilience strategy. Then the last one of this, the whys presentation, is that actually from all the global amount of patents on water technologies, we see that 40% of them is actually European. So that's interesting, that we do have the intelligence, we do have the research and development landscape, but it seems like there is a lot of ideas of innovative new technologies that are not making it as fast and as safe as they could and should to meet the market and to be scaled up in the market and take part of the de-stressing and the resilience building of water. So that's three of the most important whys to the water resilience strategy. Next slide, please. So the principles of how we made this strategy was based on a broad range of consultations and outreach. We also looked a lot of support and ideas coming from the European Parliament and the own initiative report that Rapporteur Bayala delivered together with his colleagues of shadow rapporteurs only a month ago. And that was a great help for us to see in the Commission, can we click all the boxes? And also, where do we have the elected parliamentarians in the water cycle? Where are their concerns? What are their ideas, etc.? Of course, the water resilience strategy recognizes and also supports the subsidiarity principle, and by that also grows the principle that this water resilience strategy is not about more regulation coming from the European Commission, coming from Brussels, from the European institutions, but it's very much about how to help and facilitate the member states individually, but also cross-country, cross-sectorial, really to help also on a very local basis, because a lot of the EU legislation when it comes to water is ending up at the table of the local mayor and his team of civil servants. And they are the ones who can make the change if they get the explanations, the guidelines, the tools, the support, the ears to listen to the different challenges that they face on daily basis when trying to make their part of the river basin or their water ecosystem to work better. So that's one of the very important parts of the principles to the process behind the water resilience strategy, but especially also going forward, rolling it out to make the change. Next slide, please. So if we boil down the about 28 pages of the strategy communication, we have three objectives. The first one, and they are not prioritized. They might, in this slide, be named 1, 2, and 3, but number 3 could be number 1, etc. But so it's just a matter of how to organize the objectives. The first one is about to restore and protect the water cycle, because not only because of the leakages situations around in Europe, we do see that the water cycles are damaged, challenged, and we need to restore them, and we need to protect them better in the future. Number 2, and I wouldn't say it's my favorite, but I've talked so much about that the current years also in my time in the European Parliament. And now we have it in writing that we want to build a Europe, we want to build an EU as a water smart economy. And that's really precious and important as an objective, because this how to be water smart hopefully will be a beautiful question that everybody somehow would like to participate in answering with whatever stage around the water cycle that the individual stakeholder group or individual family or individual business is placed, that be a part of how to build a water smart economy. That is a very important part of the objectives of the European water resilience strategy. And that also entails, of course, that we work with all the innovations and research ideas that we know we have, that we really put them into a much more well-functioning single market for water technologies and for water as such. And that whoever has a good idea gets the needed attention and help to try to start it up and scale it up and get it out there and make a difference, not only for the sake of us Europeans by, so to speak, walking our own talk, but also to be a living showroom, a living lab for the rest of the world to know how to be water resilient in a changing world where water is no longer something that just comes out of a water cycle that takes care of itself. The third objective is, of course, to secure clean and affordable water and sanitation for all at all times. That's maybe the novelty to the sentence, because securing water and sanitation for all have been around for years, and that is very good that we have this conscious approach to the social issue linked to water facilities and water management, but also that now in times of crises, because of what is happening in Ukraine, what is happening in the global political landscape, we need also to promise and to put forward that we know we can deliver also at all times, also in crisis times, pandemics, aggression, terror, cyber attacks, etc., etc. So that's the objectives. Next slide, please. So the key actions in the water resilience strategy is a lot on governance and implementation. As I said before, we don't make new rules, we don't make more regulation. Actually, of course, also the water files is a part of the upcoming omnibus on environment. So whatever we can do smarter and faster and in ways that makes it possible for us to actually reach the goals and the targets promised in the different legislative tools, we will do. The second part of our key actions are focusing on finance, investments and infrastructure. And some of you have taken down from the press on the water resilience strategy last week that for the next 3 years going forward, the EIB have prioritized 15 billion euros to water investments. And that's a very positive and needed sign that there will be money coming to the water landscape and to the member states and different sectors where either reuse or closing of leakages, smart metering that makes it more clear to see where are the leakages and what are the needed technologies to be implemented and what is the needed finance to be done by that. But also, some of you might have heard that also in the midterm review on the development funds, we have put forward and secured that up until 100% of the costs can be covered by the development funds if prioritized on water, because we do see that member states are under prioritizing water investments, and that is a challenge we need to solve. And by saying that you can get up to 100% of the costs covered via the EU funds, we hope that the member states would reconsider their prioritization on investments in infrastructure in each member state. Third, digitalization and artificial intelligence to help us do better in a sound water management. As I shortly said before, leakages can be detected much more smart with digital solutions, so that we don't restore all the pipes, but we actually restore where in the pipes, in the infrastructure, that the digital solutions can tell us that there are the leakages actually hiding. And that's what we should do much more when doing digitalization, but also creating the data carpet on how to manage the quantity of water. Where is water right now, and where is it actually needed and supposed to be in a short while? And that's also where digitalization can help us and must help us much more, as well as also, and that's where artificial intelligence can hopefully be a great contributor. We need private investors also on board in how to close the investment gap that we see we have in water in Europe. and for private money to find a suitable and appetitely case for investments, we need artificial intelligence to help us to draw these investment cases at as an attractive scale as possible, hopefully on the basis of the river basin landscape, or in the local ecosystem of, let's say, a bigger industrial area, or on city scale. Fourth one, research and innovation. Of course, that's a part of the water resilience strategy, and I will return on that one in the very end of this presentation. Security and preparedness. I also said before, we need to be sure that we can protect and we can have a well-functioning water system in Europe, also despite the fact that there are people who don't want Europe to be a well-functioning continent and society of 27 democratic states, and we need to be sure that we can protect us against attacks from the outside. The last one is also on prioritizing to act globally, and I don't think any one of you have opened your social media profiles or apps the last couple of days not noticing that something is happening in Nice with the UN Ocean Days. And where also President von der Leyen is really putting a lot of attention and strong signals to the global landscape of water and oceans, that Europe is also here open for business and in it to contribute, not only with the funding, but also with the political attention that this one here on the water resilience and on the healthiness of our waters, we need we want to be the leading figure to facilitate, to bring stewardship to the table. Next slide, please. I guess this one here will be something that will come up also in the Q&A session, because a part of the water resilience strategy announced last week, one of the big headlines was that now water efficiency first will be a principle, seen from my point of view and with my words and experience, just as important as energy efficiency first have been developing over the last 20 years. Some of you who know me know that I have also worked a lot with energy efficiency in files in my time as an MEP. And now with the water resilience strategy, we see that water efficiency first will be the guiding principle on how to build a water smart economy. So we have in the water resilience strategy a set of recommendations. That is a long-standing document to the communication where we explain and put some structure to the concept of water efficiency. That you can find in the recommendations. We also say in the communication that actually EU should be able to enhance water efficiency by at least 10% in 2030. That is not a binding target. That's not something we say from the top to the bottom, and that's how it should be for everybody to deliver 10% in 2030. But we say, based also on a very good study made by the European Environment Agency, also launched last week, that we can do better. When it comes to water savings, there is a sleeping potential on how to do better. And that is what is behind the water efficiency first principle. So not only talking about that we should be more water efficient, we also acknowledge the fact that the methodologies on how to actually detect and to manage ourselves into delivering on water efficiency, we need a methodology. There are different typologies of data sets and different currencies, you could say, on what water efficiency is. At the moment, about 40% of all EU member states already somehow address water efficiency, either in water efficiency as such, like France with 10% in 2035, or other member states who focus on leakages or reuse in specific sectors. And with the water resilience strategy now, we say from the European Commission, we will start a conversation with the member states and experts on how to create a common shared language and also methodology on water efficiency, so that we can support member states and sectors in how to actually deliver on water efficiency, also given the fact that no single group of stakeholders do this here as an island. Again, water is a shared resource, and therefore our language, our way on working with data on water efficiency has to be shared. We have to understand it also in a evidence-based, scientifically and practice-based manner to deliver for the next coming generations. So that we will do from now on until hopefully when we have in 2027 a set of methodology suggestions, and also we will hopefully from that work be able to put forward some common shared benchmark methodologies, so that we can begin also with how we are as Europeans. We are a curious culture. We have been curious ever since the first European set its foot on this continent, and working with benchmarks is a way of also nurturing us to continue to be investigating and curious to find new and innovative solutions going forward. Enough on that. The next and second last one of my slides, and then I will finish for the Q&A. In the water resilience strategy, you will find more than 30 actions, and I have only taken out a few of them. And if there are others that you would like to have a conversation about, please write me and we can continue like that. But I would like to just let you gaze a little bit on this little sample of actions, where I hope you can see that there is a little bit of everything, but also that it is something that really addresses that we must work together on the river basin, on the water cycle system, and work systematically, but also that research and innovation and how to attract funding, not only coming from public funding, but also coming from private funding, that the actions that are here presented is something that will add up the attractiveness of really engaging either with money or with skills or with a good case for how water resilience and water efficiency can be improved. We will see each other again, hopefully by the end of this year, because we will have every second year starting this year in December, a water resilience forum. Because what is very important for Commissioner Oswald and for her team and for the whole of the DG Environment is that this year is the water resilience strategy is only the beginning of a growing journey, making Europe truly and stable water resilient for the future. And for doing that, we need to meet on a regular basis. We need to work with the many dilemmas and challenges in a good democratic and evidence-based way, where the dialogue and sometimes also the discussions are allowed to take place. And for that, we need the Water Resilience Forum also to nurture the growth of the awareness of also a lot of other people in our society not normally familiar with water as such. So for that, we will have the Water Resilience Forum every second year. And we also we also promise that already in 27, when the methodologies on the water efficiency first principle is ready, we will have a midterm evaluation of the water resilience strategy and how it plays along. Also simply because, yes, we say that now we work with the regulation we have and we improve in the way that we do the facilitation, the explanation, the stakeholder dialogues, and also the structured dialogues on the different water files that we have, the Water Framework Directive, the Urban Wastewater Directive, the Drinking Water, whatever directive or regulation we have. We step up in the way we work with the member states, and to be sure that we're doing it in the right way. We also say, okay, let's make a midterm evaluation if things are improving along the line and the expectations that we have. Voila. The last slide is with the links and where to find me if you haven't found me already. And that's so. Thank you, Arthur. I don't think I made it for 10 minutes, but that's yeah, you know it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Thank you very much, Pernille. I will start sharing the screen, and I'm assuming if you prepare a slide with the contact, we can share your presentation with the participants after it, right?
Yes.
Yes, perfect. So you will all receive it. You will have it, the recording online as well. And without any further ado, we will start already with a quick roundtable. We have a couple of questions already on the Q&A. But first of all, thank you, Pernille, again, and welcome Tanya and Jan for your part as well of the webinar. And my first question will be the same to both of you. And I think we can start with Tanya. Then, what was your first reaction after reading the water resilience strategy? And do you see a point missing in it?
Thank you, Arthur, and thank you, Pernille, for the very comprehensive presentation. From our side, Xylem is a global water technology company. We are really excited and actually very, very satisfied with the water resilience strategy and what has been included in it. So congratulations to you and the whole team. We saw last week on LinkedIn the whole team that had worked on it. So that was exciting and great work. So really congratulations. We find the strategy very comprehensive. It's addressing the challenges that are ahead of us. I mean, they're already there, but also those that are ahead of us, and in a very comprehensive manner, with clear milestones, with clear actions and timelines. So we as Xylem are very, very satisfied. And hopefully we will see changes sooner rather than later. Of course, this will be something to discuss as next steps. So in terms of really missing, not really, but there's some certain elements that we could maybe work more in the future. And one of those to mention is we've been advocating and asking for risk preparedness, risk assessment and risk preparedness plans that the water sector can prepare and then in a very comprehensive manner at the national level to be ready for all the challenges that actually the strategy identifies. So we see elements of those already in the strategy in terms of the drought plans, the nature restoration plans, the floods risk plans. So there's some elements, but one thing that could be considered in the future that member states actually start considering more thoroughly this assessing all of their risks as per the strategy identifies at the national level, and to make proper plans to prepare for those, because for some countries will be climate related, for others will be maybe more industrial use because of semiconductor production or energy or whatever. For some others, maybe cybersecurity and strengthening security areas. So it will be very different. So that's one area, it's kind of reflected, but maybe not as thoroughly that we wanted to flag. And there's also the part on funding I want to discuss, but I can address this a little bit later. So we continue with the conversation.
Thank you very much. Jan, please.
Yeah, well, I think some of the things that Tanya mentioned already, I won't repeat, but indeed, we also think that the water resilience strategy is very integral. It talks about pressures and challenges ranging from climate to pollution, safety, water safety, but also has attention for additional subjects like the global action. And I think it's very good that the water resilience strategy establishes that the current EU water key is very comprehensive. A lot of provisions, a lot of things that are already in there, and that we need to work on implementing those. And then the third thing I think is very good is the link between quality and quantity, because the Commission notes that these are two sides of the same coin, and I think that is really, really the case. If you want to work on the availability of water, you should also work on the quality of water. And lastly, also the transboundary nature of water, because I'm from the Netherlands, and in the Netherlands we are the delta of major international rivers, and I think we are known for our battle with the sea and the polders and so on. But also these rivers can pose really big challenges, and we are dependent on the rivers for drinking water production, for flood risk and so on. And for example, as water authorities, we are responsible for regional waters, and we think that especially there we could see some additional action, because lately we've also seen climatic risk or climatic issues really established in those tributaries, for example, like the Geul in 2021. And the actors in these river basins, they're literally connected to another and dependent on each other. So we also see that there's a large up and downstream dependence. So whatever happens upstream, be it pollution or be it infrastructure, it really impacts the water quality, water availability downstream. What I see I see all these elements in the water resilience strategy, and we need to figure out how we can now make action on these topics. One thing that I feel that we feel that it should be addressed more is the PFAS pollution, because we see that in the strategy there are some words on the PFAS issue. But we think that additional strong action is needed, and then I come back by the first point that I noted, that water quality is water quantity, and we feel that if this pollution is tackled at source and properly at source, there's also more availability of sufficient availability of sufficiently clean water. So that is some part that I feel that we could have some additional action still.
Thank you very much. Daniela, do you want to reply maybe on those two
Very
interventions?
shortly. Thank you for your comments. I can't disagree, and I really like what you said, Jan, because that's the one on that quality is quantity. I mean, that's also a kind of a one-liner that makes it, but sometimes you need to work with one-liners also to have others, people in the political landscape, to understand what this here is about. But also, I'm very happy to see that the water resilience strategy really welcomes quantity in its own right, because we have really taken quantity for granted. Also, although we have known for some years that we do have a quantity issue. We also have a quality issue, but we certainly also have a quantity issue, not only regarding floodings, but that's also where I have heard that some, when reading the water resilience strategy, have said, okay, you could have had a little bit more writing on what to do with flooding, the prevention, and also the different technologies on how to prevent winter flooding really takes off. And yes, I agree on that part of the critique. And that's also why I welcome what you say, Tanya, on the preparedness and in the adaptation. So the planning and to do the right mix of risk assessments that not only draw up the risks, but also make the plans on how to solve the risks before they become reality. Hopefully we will see, because that's the way the Commission works in this mandate, that that's the colleagues of Högstra and DAHIP, who is accordingly doing the climate adaptation strategy and the climate preparedness strategy, that we will also contribute from this cabinet, from environment, and put there our input on how to actually cover the water part of the adaptation and the preparedness. So I suspect, on a positive note, that we will see more on that. But well noted on that. On PFAS, Jan, yes, but there will be more on PFAS. The water resilience strategy had, of course, to address PFAS, but also had to stay within the remits of what is the strategy about. The PFAS issue is something much more specific, where there's about remediation and cleaning up, but also the whole agenda on research and development of substitutes to PFAS and how to solve the problem in general at the source. And there, the Commissioner Roosevelt has been very clear that she wants to put forward for a ban on citizens' clothes PFAS use. So products to consumer products on PFAS. So the last part on PFAS has not been covered by what is in the water resilience strategy. Thank you.
Thank you. Then I will take one more question from you, and then we'll move to the Q&A. So please keep it a bit short. Tanya, so Xylem has published some paper calling for digitization and funding, and you also mentioned it in your previous intervention. So how do you see the water resilience strategy on that regard?
So very shortly on digitalization, very excited that what we've been calling for, the development of a digital action plan, is taken up together with 13 stakeholders and companies that are very active in digitalization of the water sector. So we're looking forward to contribute to the actual making of this digitalization action plan, to also be very comprehensive, like the water resilience strategy. So it's looked from the different perspectives. So to be very short, I think there we will talk about next steps and how we can contribute as stakeholders. On the funding is the part where maybe just a little bit more work will be needed. So we are very also positive about the changes in the midterm assessment of the cohesion funds. And with 100% financing, we really hope the member states will take up the money and use them. So this is very, very positive from what the European Commission can do. Of course, now it's on the member states to utilize this, because it's working together on this. And also the fact that there will be more investments in capacity building for the member states. I mean, this will be critical going forward. Whatever funds there would be, this capacity building remains critical to be continued. Of course, the question will be, I mean, cohesion funds finish in 2027. The future of the cohesion funds is not clear. We need to see with the next MFF what's going to happen. Of course, defense, it will be a bigger priority for very good reasons in Europe. So the future of cohesion funds and water, we don't know what's going to happen there. Recovery funds, last week we saw the guidance from the member states to spend as soon as possible by the deadline the remaining recovery funds, to prioritize what they can actually deliver. And there we're certain to see that water will not be always prioritized in that very short timeline that is left. So probably some of the money that was dedicated to water may not be spent in recovery funds. So the message is that we need to look beyond the 2027 timeline and what's envisaged for the cohesion funds and EIB and of course other instruments. And hopefully the next MFF can reflect more of water resilience within the different buckets or what framework that is going to have in a horizontal manner, that we can see those funds available, because it will be needed. Water is a public sector primarily, water infrastructure, of course, there's industry and so on. So we need the funds. And private investments, continue to work with the private investment community for more private investments in water, and also that they can drive this change within industrial sectors to invest more in water and so on. So I'll stop here because we are, I know, shorter on time.
Thank you very much, Jan. So you already mentioned transboundary water management and international cooperation. So how do you see the water resilience strategy on it?
So yeah, I think the most important part when you talk about transboundary water management is to prevent diversion of water issues between up and downstream areas, right? Because as I mentioned, there's a huge dependency going both ways, I think. And there are challenges in multiple areas, and you can think of drought, or you can think of pollution or flood risk, as you mentioned also, Pernille. And I think we need to work together to ensure sufficient and sufficiently clean water, and also prevent too much water being in one place at a certain moment. And when I talk to my regional water authorities or drinking water companies, I'm quite amazed about the level of international cooperation. But we see that the challenges are growing, and we need to kind of make sure that these corporations are also able to cope with the new challenges of today, but also tomorrow. So we argue to establish and establish a cooperation where that's not the case yet, and also anchor a transboundary cooperation where it is the case currently. And I think the Commission can help for regional governments or water companies to find equal partners across borders, and also kickstart cooperation where there's currently no or little cooperation yet. Another thing that can help is more uniform data or projections. So this is also in the strategy with the Earth observation one-stop shop, where if we start to work more from a common scenario, we're also able to deal more effectively with other challenges, right? So we are able to cooperate more effectively, and therefore also adapt more effectively. And lastly, as I mentioned, we kind of need to prevent the diversion of these impacts from upstream to downstream, and kind of have some solidarity, and also really see that quantity is quality, and also what you do upstream, regardless of that being impacting on quantity or quality, is that's also a dimension that we need to take into account. So
thank you very much.
There really is a lot of boomerangs to be developed if we don't have a more common shared approach, and an acknowledgement of up and downstream, that it's the same stream either way it goes. Yeah.
And Pernille, also, a reaction if you want, and also you had a mention of an European Water Academy within the Water Resilience Strategy.
Yes.
Can
And that's
you
already
develop, or is it
announced.
just
But it's already announced on the JRC website.
Okay.
The same day as the announcement. So that one is running. So please run after it and get on board on that one. But also, I would like to suggest and that's echoing what you were saying, Jan, on the how to work much more in relevant clusters. That the Water Smart Industrial Alliance, that is also a part of the water resilience strategy, is something where I have high expectations on what can happen if we put the right industrial clusters together and focus on water, like they already do now under the umbrella of the Net Zero Industry Act. So how to share energy with each other in industrial ecosystems. Water should be a part of that, and not only as a carrier of energy, but actually as a resource that you share with different types of industries that are working, that are living and working together, sharing both water and energy, maybe also workforce, as a part of a big resource circularity of with each other. Yeah, no, let's take the audience.
Yeah, exactly. I was wanting to move to the audience for the last 10 minutes. So some of them are already looking for the Water Resilience Forum information somewhere, Pernille. So I think you will see some of them and some of our participants there. I don't know if you want to say a bit more. Otherwise, they had some question also regarding the water efficiency first principle and the 10% that you have as indication objective. If it's mean as a water we use that needs to increase by 10%. And the second one was if this 10% figures, is it for water efficiency linked to households or non-household water sectors?
Well, what you read is what it is. So it is also kind of a wake-up call that we could have on a union level a 10% goal. We don't have it. We have it as a suggestion, a non-binding aspiration. but also that we acknowledge that by having it on that high level of the water cycle is ignorant to the details that are more embedded in the country-specific, local-specific situations, where it may make more sense to work on how to reduce leakages. It may make more sense to work on how to reuse water much better. And we have seen by examining how many member states do already now somehow work with water efficiency, and there we see that there are different currencies adding up to doing something on water efficiency. So hopefully the next couple of years in front of us, developing a common shared methodology and toolbox of methodology on water efficiency can qualify our conversation and make it much more evidence-based and realistic, and also respectful for the local settings. Either it's an industrial typology or it is a city. There's a lot of cities really working on water efficiency on different ways to address that. And we want that landscape, that mapping of ways to do it to work before we maybe in the future will have some kind of targets or benchmarks that we promise each other to deliver in a more maybe, and I'm only talking maybe, as something that is binding, so that we put also some kind of conditionality on the table. But that's not at all in the picture right now. It is an aspiration, and it is highlighting what the EEA, so the European Environment Agency, have found out from their scientific work on the data, that we could do much better on water savings. And therefore, we could actually have a 10% target 2030. Now we have it as an aspiration.
Thank you. I have a question potentially from the three of you that I will merge too. So are there already any concrete example of AI potential application in the water resilience field? And how AI technology will be used to manage future water management in Europe? So I'm trying to merge some of the questions and what a bit was potentially the idea behind, but I think Tanya, I'm assuming you will have some ideas on it, and maybe Jan, some feedback from some of your members.
Yes, sure. So on AI, I can give a few examples, which are already reality. It's not only the future, but hopefully we will see more of it in the future. So the role of AI, how we consider potential role of AI in the future in the water sector, is actually through one way it's optimization of processes real time in wastewater treatment plants. So through using AI, you can real time, for example, dose the treatment at the wastewater treatment plant. Because you see what is needed, and it's much more adjusted to the reality. Demand forecasting is another way. With the advanced AI algorithms, you can anticipate consumption peaks, for example, in the water sector. You can optimize energy as well, because AI can also detect the energy consumption of pumping station and treatment plants, and then make predictive models to adjust those demands and operations to make them more energy efficiency. Also preemptive problem detection. With AI, you can detect sophisticated leaks that are maybe not so obvious, and then address those already up front. So there are many, even more opportunities with AI, including developing digital twin and more sophisticated digital twins that are a replica of real-time reality, and that they can apply predictive models of how to manage challenges. So the opportunities will be even more in the future with AI.
Just to mention, if you have more interest, we are working on EWA on a webinar. I'm hoping before the end of the year on AI and water sector to share best practices and already example happening. So please tune and look for our channels in the upcoming months, but I'm glad to see it as well under the water resilience strategy. We had a couple more questions, so I don't know if you see one that you absolutely want to take. Otherwise, we can go question again financing and current water pricing does not promote water efficiency, at least not in my country. How is the adjustment of economic regulation coming along? And with some proposals, like how do you see playing it out with the water resilience strategy?
Can you please say it again? Where is it in the chat?
It's on the Q&A. It's now the second one from Regina Hohlmann, current water pricing.
Yeah. Well, water pricing is a member state matter. I mean, the EU cannot put a price on water, but what we will do, maybe we could, but we are not allowed to. Anyway, we with the water resilience strategy, we want also to create a room for conversation on pricing, because as we didn't have on energy years ago, we don't have in water a common shared market and understanding on what is actually the value seen with the price tag on water. And that conversation we need somehow to have also in because it's a dwell of ideas on how to balance between having the right quantity given the quality, having the right quantity, having the right quality given the quantity available. And that's where pricing of water is a part of the conversation. So what are you proposing the usage of environmental service to come up with here? I mean, we will facilitate the conversation, putting forward also ideas on how to have a right balanced approach on costs, also so that who is actually polluting or with water is also paying accordingly to that. So the polluter pays principle is also a part of the toolbox here. That was a very confusing answer to a very relevant question, but it is a member state competence, and we cannot as such expect for the EU to put a price tag on water, although we know that there is a need for a conversation on how to do it in a fair way and also in a way that supports the competitiveness of our societies. So the right price and money is a part of the incentives, and we need to understand how they work much better.
Thank you,
Arthur,
Raymond.
if you
Yes,
allow me, I'll react to both questions really quickly, because I think indeed correctly mentioned that this is a member state issue, and we would like to keep it that way. But at the same time, we can look at things that the EU is governing, and we can see how that can help. For example, the EPR and urban wastewater treatment can help a lot with also the pricing of water services. And at the same time, I hear a lot of examples from Tanya from the digital possibilities, and I think the water authorities and drinking water companies are using a lot of Xylem technology, and at the same time, we need to try to do that in a very safe way, because we're also thinking about we are talking about critical infrastructure, both wastewater treatment, flood protection, and also drinking water supply. So we need to do that in a very safe manner, taking into account these critical infrastructure. So hopefully that answers a little bit both questions.
Thank you very much. As time is running out, I would still like to give you, let's say, between half a minute and a minute, just a final statement, if that's fine for everyone, and then we will close. So Tanya, maybe first.
Sure. So again, congratulations, Pernille and the whole team on the great strategy. And what we would like to, of course, work very closely with you in the next steps in the implementation of it. And anything that you need from us as stakeholders will be available to contribute. And it will be good to see how within the next 2 years, when there's the first evaluation of the strategy, actually we have advanced a bit. For example, if a member state or a few member states have taken up the water efficiency principle first and they have made some good progress, this will be a great example to show to the other member states. So this could be one way to see a good achievement. Of course, funds, I think it's a topic we still need to work on in the next 2 years. More data availability, how we have digitalized more to have more data that can help us in the future. So many areas, but looking forward to working with you and the whole team on the next steps.
Jan?
Yes, talking about impacts or achievements, I think it's very relevant that the water resilience strategy really puts water on top of the political agenda, because water links to many topics, but is not always taken into account, and we must change it, and I think the strategy will help with that. Secondly, I think it's very good that the water resilience strategy establishes all the possibilities of the EU water acquis. I think there are very many provisions that are very helpful and we could implement even better. But also at the same time, we also need to keep an eye on legislation that, for example, talks about emissions and that also impact the water quality. And lastly, I think the biggest achievement of the strategy is the link between quality and quantity that is also already made in the EU water acquis before this, but now, as you mentioned very well, Pernille, is put more on the center of attention and is now the center of the debate. So we think that's a very good development. So thanks for your work at the Commission, and looking forward to develop the water debate even more in the future.
I will just say thank you very much to all of you. And really, this strategy here is the beginning of how to really build a water resilient Europe to all times, and where we make it fashionable to be modest with the use of resources. And since water is so, when it works, it's invisible, but how to make the invisible visible and tangible, and learn the future generations from what we are dealing with right now, where we really have the hand on the hot plate. I look so much forward to continue that now with the rollouting of the water resilience strategy. So thank you so much, everybody, also for the questions that we didn't have time to address. Let's keep in touch.
Thank you very much, everyone, to you, to the participants, to the speakers for today's. Pernille, as Tanja said, thank you very much for the entire team. We will keep in touch for sure, and we'll work together, as you just said, on making water more visible. So thank you again for the speakers and all the participants. For some of you, if you don't know it yet, you can follow us on LinkedIn, YouTube. You will receive the presentation, the link. We have our website. You can sign up to our newsletters. I already mentioned we'll do something on AI in the upcoming months. And once you close this Zoom session, you will get a short survey. Please answer it, provide your feedback so we can do even better next time. So again, thank you very much, Pernille, Tanja, Jan, for your availability today. I know you have a really busy agenda. So thank you again and have a good day. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you very much. Thank you. Bye.
See you.
See you.